Lives are in your hands while you drive. Protect yourself and others on the road.
When we talk of democracy, we mean true representation, and the parliament is the place, and therefore the people must be informed. A program that brings to you expert clarifications and teachings of parliamentary concepts and procedures. Welcome to this program.
Thank you very much.
On Parliamentary Guide, we'll teach, we explain, we clarify parliamentary concepts and terms.
Hello viewers, you're welcome to Parliamentary Guide on NTA Parliament. My name is Lami Ali. On this episode of the program, we are privileged to have with us a distinguished personality, a technocrat who has spent 3 decades and a half in the civil service, and now he is into the business of lawmaking. He's a senator of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, a member of the 10th Senate. So join me in welcoming Senator BABANGIDA HUSSAIN, Senator representing Jigawa North Senatorial District. Sir, warm welcome to the program.
Thank you very much, and thank you for having me.
All right. Now, you've told us that you've been in the civil service all through your life. You're a technocrat.
That's true. Give
us a little brief of your background, and then tell us why you decided to come into the hallowed chamber as a lawmaker of the Federal Republic.
Okay, once again, thank you very much, and I truly appreciate the opportunity to share my experiences. Of course, in those days, in the primary school, you have what we call the career guidance activities of our respective schools. And I think I remember there was a drama program which I participated in, and I came out as an officer of government. At that time, you know, in the days of the divisional officer, the divisional police officer, those were the days when public service was really something that everybody looked forward to. So it was a natural habitat for me. And again, my father was a public officer as well. He was a public servant. So after I finished my secondary school and then going into the university, I made up my mind that I really want to have a career in the civil service, and that was where I found myself.
Okay, you've been at the state level where you worked in so many ministries and headed so many agencies before you now came into the federal civil service. Can you tell us some of the differences between how the civil service runs and then how the federal civil service runs, and which is more efficient?
Well, thank you. Really there is not much difference. Maybe we can just talk about the experience in the state was about mingling and relating with your own people. Back home, the issues are localized. And at the same time, the usual home pressure and the reality of, okay, these are my people and I'm working at home are the only difference. At the federal level, when I transferred, what I really understood and learned was that this was the larger public service. This is Nigeria, where you have to have the understanding of the thinking, the behavior, the relationship management is key to succeeding in the federal service. At the same time, you know, you are exposed to so many newer and modern concepts of public service management. I was fortunate to serve in the office of the head of the civil service of the Federation when I transferred newly, and that gave me the platform to understand the dynamics of the federal service. And so it was easy for me to fit in, having learned the ropes in the office of the head of the civil service. So you can just say the state service is a microcosm of the larger public service, the federal service.
The legislature and indeed the executive arm of governments, of which you have belonged to for a very long time, work hand in hand to see that our country becomes better, that is Nigeria. Now you are in the legislature. Tell us how this arm of government is essential in building our democracy, in ensuring that the policies and programs of government have the desired impact.
Well, let me start from the executive, where I spent the larger part of my life. You are mostly concerned with policy implementation. You are mostly concerned with policy formulation. You are mostly concerned with evaluation, monitoring and evaluation of those policies that are implemented. And really and truly speaking, it was a rich experience because in the end, every policy is broken down into program or project. And having that kind of background and having been involved in the project implementation and policy formulation as well, I had a rich background in understanding the dynamics of service delivery. And really and truly, over the years, I have seen a lot of improvement in terms of our approach to public service delivery. Mainly because we have understood that nobody can do it for us but us. We have to do it for us, for our people. And I rose through the ranks, culminating to my appointment as a federal permanent secretary. But the legislature, which is a different arm of government, is strictly involved in mainly 2 or 3 major responsibilities. 1, lawmaking, 2, oversight, and generally community and relationship management issues. And I believe, learning the ropes now, I understand that, yes, the legislature perhaps is the representation of true democracy. They are the representation of the people. Everybody came here on account of him being, or he or her being elected into the hallowed chambers of the National Assembly. And principally, if you really want to have a successful policy, program or project, you have to have the right legal framework that will drive the formulation and the implementation of that policy. I've also seen that over the years, most of our laws are archaic. We need to review them to catch up with the reality of the times and to really bring to bear the modern day governance operations globally, the world being a global village. So for me, this is where the most important responsibility of good governance starts, the lawmaking. And then, of course, effective oversight. The oversight function is critical because it is where you see and you do a system check, and then you take corrective measures to ensure that at the point of implementation, you avoid some pitfalls that will hinder your ability to achieve those objectives. So basically, these are the 2 differences. But the key issue for me is about synergy. It's about working together, uniformity of purpose and unanimity of thinking, to believe that, yes, this is our country and this is Nigeria, and we must all work together to bring about positive changes in our country. Here, you should feel comfortable discussing issues on MBC local government as much as you can feel comfortable discussing issues that affect the people of Goza local government or Ilela local government, as the case may be. We are all federal legislatures, as the case may be. So, for me, the legislature is where more attention and more effort should be given to ensure that our democracy is developed and deepened, so that it brings about the desired change and development.
Since the inauguration of the 10th Senate, several motions at plenary have come up that require, or where the legislature is asking the executive arm of government to intervene. Most of them are road projects, uncompleted. Some of them are said to have been approved, monies released, and yet the roads are still not making any progress in terms of how far the work has gone. Why do we have such problems? I'm asking you this question because you, coming from Ministry of Works.
Thank you. Okay, once again, let me repeat that I was the immediate past Permanent Secretary for Ministry of Works and Housing, and I'm quite familiar with the challenges of road and erosion issues. And coming after the inauguration, I understand the frenzy, I understand the desire of our colleagues in terms of advancing the issues of road and erosion issues all over the country. Now, the starting point will be that road projects generally take time. They generally take time regardless of, because there are specifications and standards that have to be met. And then again, one very unfortunate issue that we tend to overlook is the issue of of timing. Road construction has a time. Between the month of, generally in Nigeria, between the month of May, June, up till perhaps in some areas up till December, no meaningful road construction or erosion control can go on, because that is the peak of the rainy season. Rain or water and road construction hardly go together. So you will see a lull in road construction activities between this period. Where the lacuna is where we fail to take advantage of the dry season when the real work should be done. That is between the month of December, January, February, March, and perhaps April. In some places, like in the south, in the southeast, by the month of March, April, the rains are back. So really, it's about taking advantage of the dry spell to push as much as we can the road construction. Regardless of the amount of money released or regardless of the amount of money appropriated, timing is very critical. That's one. Secondly, I quite appreciate the fact that road construction is capital intensive. Very much so capital intensive, especially most of the aggregates and most of the components used in road construction are imported. The bitumen you see is imported. The diesel itself is imported. I remember at the time we were packaging some contracts in 2021, the cost of diesel per liter was about 280, 290. It suddenly jumped to 600, up to 800 by the time I exited service. So those are issues that affect your costing and definitely your delivery. And that's why you see a lot of requests for variation on cost, requests for variation by contractors. Having said that, we also have the issue of we have to balance the demands of the different sectors of the economy. We have issues in health, we have in agriculture, we have in education, we have in name it. So road alone cannot take the whole national budget. Whatever was given, credit must go to the former administration of Muhammadu Buhari. A lot of initiatives were created to fund and to find alternative windows of funding, which I hope and I believe this administration will continue to create additional window for funding to come into the sector. In 2020, the federal government floated the Sukuk funding and got 100 billion naira, which was invested in the road sector. In 2021, 162 billion naira was also reinvested and fully subscribed and was deployed into the road sector. In 2022, 250 billion naira was floated to be used in funding the road sector. That is a new funding window. We encouraged private sector participation by way of tax credit scheme, Road Investment Tax Credit Scheme, RITS, which was a collaborative relationship between the private sector and the public sector to fund critical infrastructure. The Dangote-Obajana Road, a concrete cement works, was the pioneer project. I think we started on road construction by way of tax credit. And then the Apapa or Ronshoki to Ojota toll gate was also the second one, which is a pioneer project, very quite massive, but really it has a cascading effect on the national economy, taking goods out of the port up to the toll gate and then coming up north. And then of course some other contractors have come in, have taken some roads. Boa have taken some roads in Kwara and part of Kano and Kaduna State, Kaduna and Jigawa states. And then of course Dangote also took some east-west western bypass road in Kaduna. A lot of initiatives were floated under the road tax credit scheme. The first after the Dangote was the 621 billion naira, which was perhaps unprecedented. The NNPC took over some critical energy corridors to ensure free flow evacuation of petroleum products to the various nooks and crannies of the country. That was to take care of 12 road projects. I had retired. We floated towards my retirement. NNPC still came in and took about 44 roads nationally, spread all over the energy corridor of Nigeria, to fund under the road tax credit scheme about 1.5 trillion naira. CBN also intervened, and so a lot of initiatives to address the funding gap and to reduce pressure on the national budget were crafted and created to address these issues. But fundamentally, some of the road projects have been on the drawing board. Some contracts have been in place for more than 10-15 years. Of course, the issue of costing has overtaken all of that. So the motions that are coming in, I can understand, and they are more pronounced, especially on the road corridor of the southeastern part of Nigeria, because of the erosion issues and because of the short time, the dry spell period for them to commence work. So you find that, in 3-4 months, not much can be done. Perhaps you can basically finish laterite works before the rains come back again. And especially around the southeastern corridor, if you don't seal and secure the road, you should know that by the time the rains come, you are starting all over again. So, but again, I think the Minister of Works, leveraging on the motions that have been floated and the ad hoc committee that was set up by the distinguished Senate President Godswill Akpabio, will address these kind of issues, and we can have a kind of synergy in addressing the issues of road. But it is really and truly a national issue, and is something that we'll have to work towards addressing.
Right, your contribution has been very educative. You're watching NTA Parliament, our dear viewers. We're going to take a short break now, and our guest is still Senator Babangida Hussaini, the senator representing Jigawa North Senatorial District. We're going to be back. Just stay back as we take some messages. Thank you, viewers, for staying tuned. The program is still Parliamentary Guide, and our guest remains distinguished Senator Babangida Hussaini, representing Jigawa Northwest Senatorial District. That's the correction he made while we were on break. Now, before we went on the break, you were talking about the several interventions that have been put in place to address the deficits that we have in this country concerning road projects. You also hear, whenever a motion comes up concerning road projects, that monies have been released, yet you see that only a little of the work has been done over a period of time. Why do we have these issues coming up?
Well, speaking from the point of such kind of conversations, I quite understand the comments. Like I said, road projects are capital intensive, and at the same time, the mobilization to site and also the takeoff are sometimes bedeviled by issues that are beyond the understanding of the ordinary layman on the street. Now, let me talk of a small road corridor passing through a community. Compensation issues comes up. You have to compensate owners of maybe properties or land that the road has to pass through. You have to discuss issues of relocation of utilities, water pipes, gas pipes, electricity poles, and such items that are normally along the road corridor. I'm not making any excuse for anybody, but I want us to have an enlightened understanding of some of the dynamics in road construction. Again, sometimes state-federal relations have a lot to bear. I don't want to mention names, but I know a state that has not been able to give the small passage of way that the ministry needed to do a road, because for them, relocating the people became a community issue. You know, sometimes in some part of the country, I remember we had issues with the community because the road that was to be constructed passed through a shrine. And they say, no way, nobody will touch or pass through our shrine that we hold so dear to our religious obligations and all of that. We had to go back, reroute the road to bypass the shrine. That took time. The design has to be redone, soil testing has to be redone. That particular road took almost a year and a half, working flat out before we were able to overcome such challenges. So such challenges are very common in road construction in Nigeria. Having said that, I also know that sometimes our contractors are found wanting in terms of their capacity. You'll probably oftentimes find the paperwork are good during the pre-qualification processes, the technical evaluation, the financial evaluations, everything is fine. But when it comes to working the token, you find them wanting. And that's why oftentimes the ministry is accused of granting, or rather preferring some contractors to others. That principally is the reason. You as a public officer, your interest and desire is to deliver on your mandate, on your responsibility. So that is something that has nothing to do with your feelings or your preferences. So basically these are some of the issues. And then again, of course, the matter of funding, releases, and also the ability of contractor to move to site. Yes, there may be some isolated cases where funding has been released and contractors are found wanting. These are just normal and common in road construction. But by and large, for me, speaking from my experience in my days as a PAMSEC, it was about the utilization of timing. The contracts are normally awarded around the month of October and November because of the nature of the procurement process. Between the month of February, after advertisement, technical evaluation, financial evaluation, these are all, there are timings attached to all of those activities. You will not be able to get to Federal Executive Council to get approval until around October and November. Before you award the jobs, that will come to around January, February, and by March, April, rains are back. So sometimes those factors play a huge role in the ability of contractors to move to site. And then, of course, community issues. Communities have a role to play, and sometimes they hinder the ability of contractors to move to site. But of course, I quite agree that there are often times that you find contractors who will take the money and will lack the ability to go to site. In such instances, we have mechanisms to recover them, because every money released is secured by an advance payment guarantee. Banks that grant such APGs will be responsible for refunding back to government the money so released.
Now, coming back to the parliaments, you've talked about some of the challenges that are faced in terms of execution of projects, not just the road projects that we've dwelt so much with, general implementation of government policies and programs. There is the bureaucracy, there is the non-performance on the part of contractors or those that are charged with that responsibility. Now, the parliament has a responsibility of ensuring checks and balances. What would you advise the legislature to do to see that these challenges are, if not completely removed, but reduced? Because there is this also general feeling that there are so many loopholes where, instead of money being channeled to the work that should have been done, they are siphoned into personal pockets, and that is as a result of maybe lack of adequate oversight. What should Parliament do to address these challenges?
Thank you very much. You see, in all of this, I believe synergy is the key word. As long as we have this division in terms of our approach to service delivery, then definitely we will continue to have these kind of problems. If the legislature is up and about, continuous and sustained oversight, I believe this kind of problems will be reduced to the barest minimum. You don't wait until the end of the year, until the horse has bolted from the stable, before you come back to see what happened, and what happened here and there. If you are constantly following up, as well as even the oversight should also include going to site. Check on progress of work on site, marry it with the report you receive from the ministry in terms of the paperwork. You'll be able to have a bird's eye view of what is going on site. Because in the end, that is what matters. It is not about the record in the file or in the papers that matters, but the performance of maybe project or program on site and its impact on the people. So principally for me, it's about timely and timeous and continuous oversight. And I believe, judging from what I have seen from the chamber and from the reactions of my colleague senators, I believe there is that general consensus that we want to make a difference. We want to see that we have value for money in terms of project delivery and project implementation. And for me and for all of us, we are all desirous of bringing a difference and making a difference, bringing change. We can't afford to fail Nigerians. And principally, this is why you can see the unanimity of purpose, the understanding and the camaraderie between the members of the National Assembly, especially the 10th National Assembly. We are all part of the uncommon family, and we believe we want to make an uncommon change in terms of our ability to deliver on our money.
We thank you very much, distinguished Senator Babangida, for giving us the opportunity to have this conversation, which I must say has been quite insightful.
Thank you. Thank you very much. I appreciate the opportunity to be here, and I look forward to continuous engagement. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Well, viewers, this is how far we can go on this edition of the program Parliamentary Guide. We thank you for your time. Remember to always tune to Parliament Channel as we engage another distinguished personality on the program. Until then, I'm Lami Ali, and thank you for watching.
This is the network service of the NTA.
NTA, you can't beat the reach.
Information is power. Everyone wants power. So feel powerful with the NTA News mobile app, the one-stop information center. Real news at your fingertip. Be the first to report by uploading first-hand information on the YouReport link, and be the first to know by simply clicking on any of the links on the sidebar for headlines, domestic and foreign news, economy, security, politics, sports, and more. Stream live on your smartphone and